Like everyone else, I've spent the majority of this year watching TV and slowly melting into my couch. I've pretty much exhausted all the new movies and TV shows I wanted to watch, so recently I started delving into old stuff and I came across this absolute gem of a picture called Barsat. Barsat means rain, and this film is super excited about rain. By the way, the full title of this movie is Barsat, a Sublime Love Story, which sure. Barsat is a 2005 Hindi romantic drama film starring Bobby Deol, Bipasha Basu, and Priyanka Chopra. Bobby Deol made his Hindi film debut in 1995 in a movie that was also called Barsat. This is not a remake, it's just another movie with the same name. Yeah, and this is just the start of it. This is not a recommendation, by the way, I'm just venting. Bobby Deol plays Arav, an ambitious car person. I say that because he works as a mechanic but has lofty dreams to be a car designer, which is its own little Pandora's box that needs to be unpacked. And he moves to America to become a big shot. I say America because that's how much the film gives us to go on. He's just in America. No specific state or city, just America. He could be in LA, he could be in rural Georgia. You'd never know because there's no way to tell, and the characters certainly won't tell you. Anyway, he goes to a cultural event or something where people who are dressed in what I assume is a mockery of traditional African culture are doing some kind of dance, and he pulls a fortune cookie out of a jar and then bumps into Bipasha Basu, who plays Anna. The cookie says some crap about destiny, and Anna absolutely loses her shit. She starts obsessing over Arav and starts to stalk the ever-living crap out of him. Basically every Bollywood film with the gender roles reversed. Then there's a song where she sings something to the effect of, "Now that you've married me, you've got to deal with my temperament." It sounds better in Hindi, but only marginally. But here's the thing though, they're not married, they just met. Like, I think in the timeline of the movie, it happens in the same day. Why is this song here? It has no connection to the plot. This is a musical interlude at best. Anyway, Arav is absolutely uninterested in Anna until, and this is the important bit, he finds out that she is the granddaughter of the chairman of BMW. Then, this opportunistic creep suddenly and conveniently falls in love with her, and then they almost immediately get engaged to be married.
Is what you would call in today's lingo a fuckboy?
Yeah. All this time, by the way, Arav is accompanied by his best friend, who is the most offensive portrayal of a Sikh man I have ever seen. It's just horrible. Anyway, at this point, an hour into the film, the plot suddenly flips. Arav suddenly goes back to India by himself, and it's revealed that he already has a wife in the form of Priyanka Chopra, who plays Kajal, who is, by the way, his childhood sweetheart. This movie is insane. So, Priyanka Chopra has been married and waiting for him for 3 years while he tries to make it in America, and he comes home and slaps divorce papers in her face, and then for some reason she takes that as a cue to try to woo him.
He tells her that he wants to divorce her, and she comes up with a plan to win him back. She literally has no self-respect. Zero. Nothing.
And the film tries to turn into a comedy, like a goofy slapstick one, where she's engaging in hijinks to get them both into slippery situations and somehow fall back in love with her. It's not much of a plan. Eventually, she finds out about the other woman and realizes that it's all hopeless. So she gives up and signs the papers. The movie gets real bummy at this point as everyone is sulking, and then something happens that I genuinely love, which is that Arav, who is consumed, I assume, by guilt of having strung this woman along, overhears Kajal trying to get a loan from a bank, and so he tries to give her some money as compensation for his actions. And she reveals to him that she's like 10 times more successful than him, having started a textile and garment business in his absence, and she only wanted the loan because she had a huge order she needs extra cash for. I mean, she's a freaking girl boss, and it was a brilliant fuck you to this piece of shit.
Kajal, such an idiot. She has everything going on in her life. She has a business, she's fine, she's pretty, but she's pining over this weirdo. It makes no sense. She has like...
But here's the goddamn kicker, you guys. Arav's opportunism kicks in and he falls in love with her. Now that he knows she's uber successful, she's suddenly all so attractive to him. So throughout this movie, it periodically rains and people get super duper horny when it happens. They get damn serious and they say all kinds of things about the rain that are supposed to be poignant, but they really come across as cheesy and cringy. What's really surprising about this movie is how goddamn sexual it is. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with eroticism in film, but this film isn't exactly erotic, it's just horny. There's no actual visuals to suggest eroticism, but every second dialogue is a sexual innuendo delivered in a very disturbing and far too suggestive way. The women are constantly moaning and making little noises even when they're like just smiling or talking about normal shit. And this happens so much that after a point, even when they're talking about normal, innocent, non-sexual stuff, it all sounds super weird and you're hearing subtext in everything that they're saying, and it gets really disturbing when they're talking about their childhood. This movie looks so dated, and honestly, it really feels like something from the 90s. But this movie came out in 2005, which is the same year as like Paheli and Parinita. And I'm not saying that these are better movies, although they 100% are. At least those movies are competent. Barsat is badly shot, horribly written, and atrociously acted. Anyway, to cut an incredibly long, almost 3-hour story short, Anna comes to India to marry Arav. The love triangle meets and hashes it out. Then Arav leaves Anna on the wedding day because the lawyer reveals that the divorce never went through because although Kajal signed, Arav forgot to put his own signature on the paper.
The thing is, the women act like he is this saint of a person who things are happening to. So Bipasha Basu in the end justifies his actions when he doesn't want to marry her anymore by saying that if he hadn't met her, then he would not have realized how much he loves Kajal and would not have gone back to Kajal. What is this?
And then this amazing exchange happens. She goes, "तुम तो मुझसे प्यार भी नहीं करते." And he says, "तुम्हें किसने कहा कि मैं तुमसे प्यार नहीं करता?" And she goes, "तुम ही ने तो कहा था." And he says, "मेरे कहने से क्या होता है?" And then he grabs her and kind of stumbles for a bit because it's so clear that he's about to slip and fall because of the water everywhere. And they keep that in the film, you guys. And that scene is basically the whole movie in a nutshell. It's a weird, long, meandering, horny creep fest which you should watch at your own risk.